Hello YouTube, this is Ben Van Dwelling in Vancouver, and today's video is serious. In my personal opinion, society is ill. I feel like we are constantly being stripped of our humanity and our individuality, and lately it's been the police trying to strip some of that from me, and it's starting to get a little serious, so I decided I would put all these videos together and show you what kind of harassment and discrimination is going on against fellow human beings who choose to live their own lifestyle away from the destruction of society. So,
Abbotsford's current homeless encampment on Gladys Avenue is a festering eyesore to some, but for others it's a critical necessity, and living here is a charter right. When the homeless were in a public park, municipal workers dumped manure to get them to move on. Today, Chief Justice Hinkson of the BC Supreme Court called that disgraceful and worthy of the court's disapproval. And he has now ruled that Abbotsford's homeless, huddled here on city land, do have a right to camp out, but only from 7 p.m. to 9 a.m.
He's created quite a dilemma. Opening the parks to sleep at night but pack your stuff during the day. It's an impossibility to pack this up.
But today's homeless court ruling is a stunning victory, according to Pivot Legal.
And the decision of the court today is a massive vindication of the rights of people who have found themselves in the streets. The court recognized that constantly displacing people puts people's health at risk, it makes their lives less safe, and that it's not constitutional.
These people are on city land.
okay, so according to the Supreme Court, I'm allowed to camp in a park between 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. Spanish Banks is a BC Parks. Apparently I'm allowed to do this because I fall underneath the Homeless Act. According to the rules of society, this ill society, I'm homeless even though I own my own home because it's a vehicle and not an actual artificial cave that's locked to land. Apparently I am homeless. So under this Homeless Act, I am allowed to camp at a BC park between 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. These parking lots at the Spanish Banks are BC parks, and there are no gates on them or anything else preventing us from being in there from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. as the park sign says. So according to what I know, the Supreme Court overrules any kind of municipal bylaw that's in place, and I'm allowed to be doing what I'm doing legally. So I had a conversation when I first started staying at Spanish Banks with one of the park rangers, and he seemed to be understanding of this and of the whole situation. Here it is.
Hey there.
Hey,
How's it going?
how are you doing today?
Doing all right.
My name is Collins. I'm a Vancouver Park Ranger,
Yeah.
and I'm sort of here because of the RVs that are parked in our parking lots. We've been receiving a lot of complaints about RVs that are here overnight, and our bylaws do not allow that. So now that you're here, I can actually talk to you and sort of get some sort of an understanding, because we have a lot of RVs, and we get it. You know, it's a beautiful place. You have an RV. If I wasn't in this uniform, I'd probably do the same thing. So the key here is you don't park in one spot twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I was here yesterday.
Sorry, what was your name again?
Collins.
Collins? Ben.
What's your name?
Ben.
Ben.
Nice to meet
Nice to
you.
meet you too.
Just to let you know, I've been parking here on and off since like a year ago in November. So I understand the rituals and routines, and
You do.
I might have a few drinks and end up staying overnight one night, but for the most part, I'm gone in the morning and
You know,
I don't give
personally,
hassle.
It doesn't really matter to me. The problem is when somebody takes number plates and they forward that to us, we have to act, right? So this is part of my getting the documentation and talking to people.
Okay.
So if you're here tonight and you want to be here tomorrow, I would recommend maybe you try Locarno or Jericho. But if you're in the same place and you know these guys walking their dogs, living the bourgeoisie life,
Yeah.
you'll just see the RV and they'll keep calling, right?
Yeah, I understand that. Have you had any calls about my license plate?
Actually, no. We
Okay,
have like
good.
around 5 on the other side, but I'm not dealing with
Yeah,
the RVs.
I know the regular guys that park over at that first beach there and along the road there.
Yeah, those
yeah.
on the road, it's okay. It's not our jurisdiction. That would be the city.
But yeah, I never park in the same place twice. I'm
Yeah.
always gone in the morning.
That would be awesome. And actually, it's good that we talked because, personally, I don't want to be the guy who punishes someone who's hanging out.
I actually usually know most of the park rangers that are around here. I didn't recognize you, so I was like, am I going to talk?
Yeah. Every time I see an RV that I'm not very familiar with, that's part of my documentation. But I prefer to have this one-on-one.
Absolutely, me too. I've had it with a few of the police officers that roam the territory. I've had it with a few of the parks people that clean up and stuff. I usually know everybody around here, so it was kind of strange to not recognize.
I think most of us are pretty decent. We're not out here to sort of, give people a hard time. But at the same time, you also have to answer to the public who's also paying our bills, right?
Absolutely.
So,
that's why I asked if you've had any reports about me, because usually
I don't think that's why I actually took a picture, because it sort of seemed I don't know this, because I've been doing this for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen your.
So with the authorities, everything was good for a few months. There were a lot of public people turning around and infringing upon my space, so to speak. Like the parking lot would be completely empty except for a few cars, but somebody has to park like right next to me on one side and then right next to me on the other side, or people have to sit at the park bench in front of my van and chat loudly when they've parked like 10 or 20 spaces down. The hell is this old lady doing parked right the fuck beside me? People have all just parked right the fuck beside me. There's tons of space everywhere else, but everybody has to park right along. It's fucking nuts. Just opening and closing his fucking door constantly while he's sitting there on his fucking phone. Every time I try to fucking lay down or enjoy a fucking goddamn fucking show, this guy's opening and closing his fucking door. These people, they're about to do the same fucking thing. Fucking flashlight everywhere now. You can see they're just waving it fucking everywhere. Because they're idiots. They have absolutely no sense of fucking decency. Don't fucking give a shit about anybody else but their own little fucking playlight. So we're just gonna record it and put it on YouTube for everybody to fucking see what a fucking idiot you are. So you can see these people are sitting directly in front of my van here. Now, they're parked actually over here, like 5 spaces over. And instead of sitting in front of their van, or instead of in front of their vehicle, they've decided to sit in front of my van and take pictures of me. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm listening to some music and they're enjoying the beach. Why are they taking fucking pictures of me? That's what I'm wondering. All sorts of public harassment, but that's public. This occurred with a police officer. Those are the 3 police ATVs that just went by. What the hell is this? You can see, I'm just sitting in my van. I'm doing a video up. I've done a few videos up this evening actually for YouTube. And now somebody's just fucking... What is this? I think I'll go ask them to turn the lights down.
As you can see, lights up my van pretty good. This is obviously a police car now, according to my naked eye. Hey there. Is there a reason why you have your high beams on my van?
Pardon me?
Is there a reason why you're high beaming my van?
I'm not having you, I'm just sitting here with my lights on.
Okay. I find it kind of disturbing.
That's high beam there.
I see.
That's low beam there.
Okay. Sorry, from over there it seems like high beams.
Okay. So are you vacating soon? Because parks close at 10 o'clock. You have to be out of here. You can't be parked for more than half an hour past 10 o'clock.
Okay. Well, I have it on video from the park rangers that I'm allowed to park here overnight from time to time.
Signs? Have you read the signs?
I've seen the signs. We also know that there's less than a 1% housing crisis going on, and Mayor Gregor Robertson has turned around and said that,
The parks bylaw says no parking for more than half an hour after between 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning. 10 at night and 6 in the morning.
there's also a social economic problem going on here in Vancouver with a housing crisis, sir.
Those are the rules. The Parks Act.
Mayor Gregor Robertson has specifically said we're allowed to do this, sir.
He specifically said that? No, I don't think so.
As far as I understand, I'm doing.
All right, thanks. Have a good night.
I'm following the law.
I'm just letting you know that you're subject to getting a violation.
I understand, and I'm letting you know that you're disturbing people who are trying to have a peaceful and quiet and enjoyable time on the beach.
My headlights on, I'm doing my job.
Okay, your job isn't to disturb other people with your headlights on. As far as I understand.
I've got my headlights on. I'm sitting in the parking lot.
Well, you're sitting sideways when the parking stalls are obviously perpendicular from the way you're sitting. I just find it kind of harassing, sir. Okay, so I've told the police officer that he was disturbing people around him, and he is unrepentant. He is parked perpendicularly to the parking spaces, as I pointed out, and he didn't want to have that discussion with me. And he is obviously quite unrepentant about just putting his lights on wherever he fucking feels like it, as he does his paperwork in his car. And not parking according to the law, and then telling me that he's going to fine me if I fucking give him a hard time about harassing me, basically. So after that, we started seeing a more significant police presence on the beach, and police vehicles sweeping RVs and vehicles parked after 10 p.m. And so I'm just going to show you some of that and what happened afterwards. Okay, pay close attention to what this douchebag is doing. I've already seen him sweep 2 RVs. Sorry, 3 now. The third one he just did. Seems to be... like, he came into the parking lot and paused on one RV. He then took a right and shone his lights on another RV. And then proceeded to do what he's doing now and pulled out and continued on down and then stopped by another RV and just paused for about 5 or 10 seconds, and then I turned the video on. Yeah. So they're just sitting there. They've been doing this for like 3 minutes now. 3-4 minutes just sitting there with their lights. They did just pull out of a parking spot, and now they're just sitting there. They got a car behind them. The car behind them is wondering, what you doing, Jack? Oh no, it's parking behind them.
We're just clearing out the lot for overnight camper people.
What's going on?
Well, you can't camp in a park.
It's 10:22 at night. I thought the park closed at 11.
We close at 10.
Okay.
So it's time to go.
You're telling this to everybody, are you?
Yep. Everyone that's not moving is getting a ticket. So I'm just giving you a heads up.
Okay.
So you can stay till 11 if you want. You totally can. But it's a $50 ticket.
All right. I'm just wondering what's with the crackdown. I mean, I've been told by the rangers that as long as I don't stay in one place for more than 24 hours, I'm kind of okay under the radar kind of thing.
Well, you've gotten a lot of free nights then.
You do realize there's a housing crisis going on in Vancouver right now, right?
I'm fully aware. I can't afford to live in Vancouver.
Okay, well, this is how I can afford to live in the west end of Vancouver. I have a job over on West Broadway. You know, I'm a tax-paying citizen.
I would love to buy an RV and park
Okay, so there's a post but no sign. This is where I was right here. That's where I parked when the officer told me to move. And you can see there are no signs saying no parking overnight. There is a sign saying clean up after your dog and no parking after there, and that's it.
Okay, so the next night, same officer comes in at 10:15. I was out of my van talking to a neighbor of mine a few spaces down from me, and it's only 10:15. They could have said move on or whatever, but the ATVs came up. The same officer as the night before put 2 tickets on my van windshield, not just one but 2. One for that night and one for the night previous. Now, I want to note that there was no time for this officer between the time he came up to my van and putting the tickets on my van, and he didn't write the tickets then. He wrote them before, had them pre-written, and put 2 tickets on my windshield, and so I made this video just for court so that I could contest the tickets.
What are you?
Okay, officer,
Okay, so
do you agree that I did move yesterday when you requested that I move? Do
you also agree that I spoke with you yesterday?
You spoke to me yesterday at 10:20. You told me to move or you would give me a ticket. I moved. I went to another location that was not invalid, and now you are ticketing me for yesterday after I moved. Is this correct? Is this what I'm hearing? I just want this on film, please, sir, for court. Say yes or no.
You're still in an area past 10.
You told me to move, and I moved. You can't give me a ticket for that after I moved. You said you can stay here and I'll give you a ticket, or you can move now. I moved. I moved within 5 minutes of you telling me to move. You cannot give me a ticket for yesterday, sir. Is this a ticket for yesterday and today? Is this 2 tickets? One for yesterday after you told me to move and I moved?
You were parked here past 10.
You told me to move and I moved. Now today you're giving me a ticket for yesterday? Is this what I'm hearing? Is this what I'm seeing?
Yes, you are seeing that.
Okay, thank you. What is your badge number, officer?
It's right on my jacket.
So my phone didn't have enough memory and cut out at a vital point. Right after the video cut out, the person that I was talking to a few spaces down piped up and said, "Hey, that's not legal. You can't do that." And then one of the other officers went over to them and said, unless you want to ticket yourself, you better move on, and chased away my witness. Luckily, I was able to catch up with them later and get their information so they could testify in court for me regarding this crackdown. And so while that officer was doing that, the officer that I was speaking to that gave me the tickets turned around and told me that you'd already been warned by an officer a few weeks ago that you shouldn't be parking here, and this is what you get. And then they moved on. And so that's referring to the July 5th incident where I went up to that officer and said, "Hey, you're harassing me." And he's saying, "Hey, you're not supposed to be parking here. Fuck off." And so the fact is that I took the 2 tickets and I took them to City Hall, and I contested them. Now, here is the contest papers. Now, I want you to note, look at the numbers on the tickets. You'll see that they are side by side, yet the dates are a day apart. Either this officer wrote the tickets at the same time out of his book, or he didn't write a ticket for a full 24 hours, and he had that one waiting for me. Which do you think is more likely? So the day after I contested those tickets in City Hall, 2 days. 2 days after I contested those tickets in City Hall, I had another run-in with another couple of police officers on 45th and Mackenzie. I like to take back roads to avoid heavy traffic, and I've noticed that, you know, I occasionally have officers following me, and they know that I like to take the back roads. So 2 days later, I had an incident where there was a large gray SUV I was following down Mackenzie to 45th, and there was a stop sign, a few construction signs saying, you know, roads closed and stuff like that. And this large gray SUV, the fact is that the stop sign was partially, if not all, obscured. Like within 5 or 6 car lengths of the stop sign, you can see it. But before that, all along the street, there's a branch covering that stop sign. You can't see it. All you can see is the construction signs. Now, I had a large gray SUV in front of me, about 5-6 car spaces in front of me, and he drove down Mackenzie. He took a left down 45th, didn't stop, and I followed him down. And by the time I realized there was a stop sign, my brain was already geared towards turning and everything. The road was clear. I mean, I looked both ways. The road was clear, and there was nothing moving. There was a vehicle across from me stopping at the sign at the road there, trying to figure out how to get around the sign. And I turned left, and the next thing you know, I got a cop with flashing lights behind me. And when the police officer stopped me, there was another police officer in front of me at 45th and the next street up. I don't know what that one is, but the officer behind me told the police officer in front of me to let the gray SUV through, and that he was after me specifically. And then turned around and proceeded to write me this ticket for failing to stop at a stop sign, after telling the other officer to let the gray SUV in front of me that failed to stop at the stop sign as well go without a ticket. So, you know, after that incident, I kind of felt like, you know, the police were starting to gang up on me or something. Like, you know, they let that gray SUV go, but gave me the ticket. And it almost seemed like he was sitting there waiting for me. Like they had a roadblock sitting there waiting for me, because there's no other reason on that road to have that roadblock unless they were trying to stop somebody. And it was me they stopped and gave the ticket to. And then I took this video that shows that once they got a ticket out of me, they all took off. Okay, so these guys were waiting for me on a back road. I like to take back roads to avoid heavy traffic. Now, there was a gray SUV that blew through a stop sign in front of me, and then these two fucking stopped me after I followed the gray SUV because there were construction signs everywhere. Now these cops, after nabbing me and giving me a ticket, are all taking off. That's amazing. Okay, so apparently this is the stop sign that the officer said I blew through, and don't tell me he didn't even see it. I saw these signs here. There was a gray SUV that proceeded on ahead of me, and then apparently this officer was sitting right over here watching me, and saw me blow through this stop sign. This is the way I went. And so you could see that there was a branch covering the stop sign, and he's saying, don't even tell me you didn't see the stop sign.